Being poor is actually not a curse, and no, you're not being bewitched. Actually, simply changing a few habits in your life can take you from being poor to actually living comfortably and even becoming really wealthy. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a few habits that you might not know have actually been keeping you in poverty. First, living beyond your means. Have you heard the statement, keeping up with the Joneses? What that usually means is people who go out of their way simply to keep up with their colleagues. You know, it might be friends at work, it might be siblings, it might be your very best friend. Whoever it is, you're simply trying to keep up with them. So if they get a new car, you want to get the very best car. If they have a new television screen, you want to get a new television screen. If the new iPhone comes out, you want the very best iPhone too. The things actually have no purpose. You're simply being driven by whims and influence of those around you. A lot of these things that people actually get by simply trying to keep up with their colleagues, they don't need. If you look at them, they never needed them at all. They were not part of their budget. They're not part of them accomplishing their goals. That's if they have any goals at all in life. And a lot of people actually even go out of their way to borrow simply to keep up, you know, to get things that they don't need. A lot of people use credit cards, debit cards. Sometimes you even go and physically borrow money from someone simply because you want to keep up with a particular group of people. You see guys, it doesn't matter how much money you earn. If you spend more than you earn, you can never have anything left. That means you're always going to be broke. Yeah, you need to get to the point where you actually earn more than you spend. You must have the discipline to not always have to spend. You must have the discipline to only spend on the things that are a necessity to you. Not everything is necessary. Habit number 2, not having a budget. You see, if you don't have a budget, you'll actually earn money and the money will disappear without a single trace of where it went to. I have a friend who recently lost his job, and so he's currently jobless. He doesn't have any money at all. But in his former job, he was actually getting paid good money, like, you know, reasonably good money for the country that I'm in. And I was sitting down with him, we were having a discussion, and he was telling me, you know what, Daniel? I don't have an idea what I was using the money for. I was earning all this money and I thought I was comfortable then, but I don't see at all where the money went. And that's it. If you earn money and you don't have a plan for it, you'll just spend it on anything that comes your way. And before you know it, you have nothing to show for it. You haven't made any investment. You haven't done any savings. You haven't done nothing simply because you didn't have a budget for the money. So you need to plan for your money. You know, if you're expecting particular money, maybe if you're getting a salary or, you know, you have a business and there's money that comes in at the end of the month, you need to sit down and, you know, plan properly how you're going to spend the money. Maybe it's groceries, your bills, your debts. You know, you really need to clear your debts, your savings, how much you're going to be putting away. If you come up with a proper budget, it's very easy for you to understand where you're actually misspending the money. You know, there might be a lot of things, wasteful, useless things that you're spending money on. And if you actually sit down and decide to do a budget and say, hey, this is where I'm spending money, this is where I'm not spending money, it's easy for you to understand that I think this is certainly not necessary. I can cut down on the spending in this line so that I save more right here. So it's very important that you have a budget. That way you will know how your money is spent and you're very intentional about how your money is spent so that you spend your money on things that are actually going to develop you and ensure that you don't end up in a poverty drain. Number 3, not saving or investing. Have you heard of the statement that pay yourself first? Well, this is a very good area where that statement actually comes into play. The way you can choose to pay yourself first is by either putting the money into a savings account or into an investment account. It doesn't need to be money that you're going to be using every day, you know, to buy food and, you know, buy nice things for yourself. No, put some money into a savings account and some money into an investment account. The money that goes into the savings account is money that you can save for things like, you know, retirement, maybe something that you've planned for, maybe a house in the future, maybe a car that you want to buy in the future, maybe for emergencies that you could never have imagined or planned for. So it's very important that you save. Yeah, you need to save for the future because we are certainly not going to have enough energy to work until we are 70, until we are 80. We're certainly still going to need to live. We're certainly still going to need to pay for medical bills, to pay for food. So how about you think about those days way ahead of time? Also, investing. You see, you need to benefit from the whole idea of compound interest. When you put money aside in an investment account, whichever form of account it is, whether it's in a bank, which is actually not very advisable, but you know, there are a lot of investment types of account depending on which country you're in. You benefit from compound interest. You know, generally over time, economies grow. Yeah, economies grow. And usually if you keep money over a very long time, it will multiply. If the account has good enough interest, it will multiply. You know, you'll have a few months or a year where the value falls down, but over 10 years, 20 years, the money is going to multiply. So you need to benefit from that compound interest. Put the money aside, save the money aside in a savings account, an investment account somewhere, so that you can benefit from compound interest. Number 4, avoid impulse buying. Now, this is a place where a lot of people are actually guilty, and there are 2 places where it can be very, very easy to impulse buy. Number 1, online shopping, and number 2, physical shopping where there's discount. You go to this supermarket, you go to this shop, and you find maybe they are selling this pair of shoes, and it's on a discount, 50% off. You're like, oh my God, I have to buy this. This opportunity might never show back again. I've personally been guilty of impulse buying in the past, but it's something that I've actually managed to hone down on and stop it. A lot of times I used to buy things because I thought I might need them in the future. For example, I might buy a leash for a dog because, hey, I think a few months from now I might actually own a dog. Why not buy the leash now? It's on discount. So you will end up buying things that you totally don't need. What happened to me is that after a long time of me impulse buying, you go online, you go to this place, find things on discount, you're like, this is an opportunity I can't miss. You find this huge television screen, which was maybe $1,000, and now they're selling it for $600. Meanwhile, you have a television screen at home, yeah? But because it's $600 instead of $1,000, you're like, oh my God, I can't miss this opportunity. You pay for it. Now you come home, you find you already have a television screen. You keep that one. You're like, well, I'll need it someday. Maybe this one will break down someday. It didn't break down for 2 years. You understand? So imagine what that money could have done. Yeah. So I used to do this a lot, but after some time, I actually read some books which made me notice that a lot of the things that we impulse buy are actually not necessary. I would look at my wardrobe and I have a lot of things that I bought that I actually don't need, that I don't think I will ever need anytime soon. And I was thinking, whoa, why did I waste my money buying this? Only because I thought I might need it in the future. Or maybe the opportunity is too good. Opportunities will always be good, guys. Next opportunities will always come. That thing that you think you can never ever find at a cheaper price someday, you're certainly going to find it at a cheaper price. So the one thing that I've taught myself, and the one thing that I tell other people that you actually need to think about, is that if you go and find something and you really want to impulse buy it, you're scrolling through the internet, you see this product, you're like, I think I might need it. What you need to do is that give yourself 24 hours to think about it. Do I really need it? Don't just pay for it because it's on a discount or whatever it is. Give yourself 24 hours, think about it. When you think about it, you'll actually notice the repercussions of not having that thing or of having it, because you'll actually notice that you don't really need it. You've been surviving well without it. And now that it's on discount, all of a sudden it doesn't become more important in your life. So if you avoid impulse buying, you're actually going to save a lot of money that you can utilize for other things in your life, and you could actually be on your way out of poverty. Ignoring your debt. You see, a lot of people actually live on debt. Actually, I feel like this should have been the first point, because before you build up wealth, it's important that you first clear your debt. Because what happens is that once you don't pay your debt starts building up interest. Your debt will keep building up interest. So you need to make sure that you pay off your debt. There are 2 things that people usually do. Number 1, they either ignore their debts completely, and so the interest builds up very greatly. Or number 2, they pay the bare minimum that they need to pay in order to, get rid of their debts. And what that means is that, you're going to be building up interest, incurring interest on those debts over a long time. And what that means is that all the money that you earn is actually not going to be used to develop you, to do investments, to go into your saving account, to actually do the things that you would love to spend on and enjoy. But you're simply going to be using this money and sending it to pay debt. Just imagine you have a debt where you're paying 20% interest. Think about it, 20%, that's a lot of money. So all the money that you're getting into your account is actually going towards paying debt instead of developing your life. So what I would suggest is that if you have these high interest debts, get rid of them as soon as you can. Yeah? If you can pay the debt 100% and still survive, pay it 100% and see what you can do in the next months or whatever comes up. But you need to make sure that you minimize the debts. Yeah? You need to make sure that you minimize the debts as much as possible. Get rid of those debts. So no matter the kind of debt, whether it's a student loan, whether it's a mortgage on a house, whether it's a business loan, maybe a credit card debt, whatever it is, you need to make sure that you're not in debt at all. Minimize the debt. And also the other problem with not paying your debt is that you get into debt trouble. And if you get into debt trouble with banks, situations might come where you actually need to borrow money. And if your credit scores, your rankings in terms of borrowing are really terrible, no one will give you money. Yeah, so you want to be in this position where you can actually borrow. Maybe it's to expand a business. Yeah, sometimes borrowing is not a bad thing. Borrowing can actually be a very good thing that can take you places. But you don't want to get to the point where you must really borrow, and you can't borrow because your reputation for paying back your debts has been very, very bad. So make sure that you clear your debts. Another mistake is not having an emergency fund. You see, in life you could very easily get an emergency, and if you get an emergency when you don't have money ready to solve these emergencies, an emergency can very easily throw you in debt. And forget about debt, it can even throw you in financial tatters completely. Maybe an emergency of car breakdown, you have a major car breakdown and you have a lot of money that you need to spend. Maybe it's a medical bill. Maybe you just lose your job suddenly, just like a friend of mine lost his job suddenly. And then just like that, you have nothing. So you have to go and borrow in order to survive, in order for you to be able to pay your rent, whatever way. So what I usually suggest is that have a bank account aside where you can actually quickly access money, but where you have money, which is emergency money. Yeah. Usually I advise 3 to 6 months in terms of your survival. So consider amount of money that you can live on for 3 to 6 months. Put that money in an account over there. That account could actually turn out to be a lifesaver for you. It will prevent you from going into severe debt. It will prevent you from going into financial tatters where you can barely breathe. You could easily come from this point where you have a job and you have a proper paying job that's paying you a proper amount, to a position where you're borrowing and you're wondering where you're going to get your very next meal. And finally, not investing in yourself and in your financial education. You see, the thing is that education never stops. Learning never stops. And in this day and age, there's so many different ways that you can actually learn about things. You need to educate yourself on, personal finance, on investing, on how you can get business ideas, things that will propel you in your financial life. There's various ways that you can educate yourself. You can actually go to school and do, proper trainings. You can do short courses. You can download books. There's a lot of books, a lot of applications like Audible where you can read a lot of financial books. I think even Spotify recently started up podcasts and audiobooks. I'm not certain about that, but there's a lot of places where you can actually educate yourself on financial information that can help you make better decisions. Maybe it's about getting a mentor. Yeah, you might need a mentor, and that mentor might actually be the one that might cause you a huge leap forward in terms of your financial development. So knowledge is very key in you making very important and great financial decisions. A lot of the decisions that you're going to face in your life, other people have gone through. It's very unlikely that you're going to face a decision or a condition or a situation which no human being has actually faced before in their life. Very, very unlikely. So if you go outside there, look for the knowledge. It will help you so that you can make a proper, well-balanced, well-educated decision. And the thing is that not educating yourself will keep you in tatters. It will keep you in poverty. A lot of times, if you don't educate yourself, you're going to remain stuck in that terribly paying job. And forget about that. You could even lose the job, because what's happening is that with each and every passing day and year, the qualifications for particular jobs keep getting better because people are learning and people are becoming more experienced. So if there was a particular requirement for a particular job, it's most probably going to increase because people are getting better skills, people are putting in time to learn more, to understand more. So if you're not improving yourself, people are actually going to come and out-qualify you and outwit you even in that job, and then you're actually going to end up very jobless, with no one who can employ you and with no way for you to actually figure out how you can start a business or find other ways of getting money. So you need to actually invest in yourself, spend some money on yourself to make sure that you're developing and going forward financially. So if you've liked this video, I think you'll like this video right here where I talk about poverty and why poverty never seems to end in the world. Why poor people will always exist. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Catch you very soon with another video. Bye-bye.